turtles, Dragon Ball, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. Steven here, and welcome to my review from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. Today we're going to be taking a look at a fan favorite collector set. It is going to be a set of the very exclusive, the very elusive Tokka and Rahzar set. Now, real quick pronunciation: Rahzar, Razah. Donnie says Rahzar at the end of the movie. That's what I'm going with. So Tokka and Rahzar here had a very interesting distribution method. They apparently, NECA, had it set up initially before they even announced the release that they were going to do a limited pre-order window through the NECA store exclusively, take orders for a set period of time, release them that way, and not release these figures again. That's what they did. So even though the movie Turtle line was originally through GameStop, then switched over to Walmart, these are not available at GameStop, these were not available at Walmart, only directly through NECA, one pre-order window, and they just started showing up in the hands of collectors. Now we have the aftermarket, technically not scalping because they didn't quite take away from anyone who actually could have ordered them during that time, but anyway, that's a point for a different video. Today, we only have the aftermarket, and folks are wondering if it's worth coughing up anywhere from $150 to $200 to get a set of these on the aftermarket. So, without any further ado, let's take a look to see whether or not Tokka and Rahzar are worth adding into your collection. Whenever I'm doing the audio and video, the final steps before I sit behind the microphone and get the real audio done for a video, I like to get the articulation section done first, so this way I can see about how much time I want to make a video, whether I can go for a bigger one and have a whole lot of content in it, or if I can hit the ground running and just nail all the high points. You can probably tell by the running time, there's a lot in this video, and to be honest with you, there is so much to cover, so I'm going to do everything as concisely as possible. Now, for this section and for the articulation section, I'm going to tackle Rahzar first, even though the set is Tokka and Rahzar. Not because Tokka shouldn't be first, I like saving the best for last. And if you're going to take a look here at Rahzar, I'm going to be honest, if you see how good Rahzar is, then you are going to see, or at least imagine, how better and how amazing Tokka is going to be. So let me go ahead and just talk about the things that I didn't particularly like on my unit for Rahzar, and we will see that as we get down to the lower half of the figure. Now, what I actually had an issue with, and I'm going to demonstrate this in the articulation section, is that unfortunately his loincloth got stuck, glued, if you will, to his hip, and that sort of was a bit of an issue that I had to break free with a little bit of hot water, and that caused some paint chipping, but otherwise, yeah, we're good here. I've seen a couple of issues with some eyes going around the internet, a couple of drips of brown paint get on the eyes, which that kind of sucks, not gonna lie, but otherwise, I mean, yeah, it's good. We have the usual occasional NECA dried paint and flakage here and there around the joints, which, I mean, that's going to just come with the territory at this point. I don't really talk about it too much because it's just happening. There's nothing we can do to avoid that. But realistically speaking, the sculpt is fantastic. The mouth looks very wet, which, hey, saliva, it's very good for our little wolfy friend here. The eyes are that sort of cartoonish, but also ferocious, which is very good. He's using car parts, it looks like, for armor, which is executed wonderfully. And did I mention the chain actually feels metal? That's right, it's not a plastic chain, it is actual metal. So yay, good job there. Now, Rahzar is really, really looking good. Yeah, NECA nailed the first sculpt for this guy. The paint application is not just one uniform color of brown. We have a couple of lighter shades here and there. We have good dry brushing. We have wash where it should be applied. Yeah, everything's great. Rahzar really looks good. And what I really do want to compliment them on, even though the missing quote-unquote ribs are not 100% accurate, gonna ding you there. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The grill on his chest looks awesome. Rahzar's great. time for Tokka, and I'm going to have to be short, sweet, and to the point here for Tokka. Tokka looks amazing. Except for the spikes on the back. There's a whole bunch of chipped and flaked paint on mine, which I think has to do with the fact that they used very bendy plastic for the spikes on his shell, which I don't necessarily know if that's an issue with the paint or just the material for the spikes, that would have happened just with any of the paint that's used. But otherwise, again, usual NECA stuff. We are going to have random splotches of paint here and there. Some paint around the joints is going to flake. Mine, as I'll touch again on in the articulation section, no glued joints. I didn't have to use any sort of hot water or other heating method at all for this guy. Yeah, Tokka's great. The face is very comical. The big baby-like eyes is so heartwarming and captivating. The beak, I think, is maybe just a little tad bit heavy-handed if I had to complain about something, but the mouth overall looks very good. Again, like Razah, very wet. We have that tongue in there, which is sculpted awesomely. And again, as you'll see in the articulation section, that mouth opens very wide. So if you're interested in seeing all of the details for all of them nasty teeth, you absolutely can do that yourself. Being a snapping turtle, an alligator one at that apparently, there are a whole bunch of small dots all over this guy. And we have some nice shading on the chest area between his shoulders. So hey, great attention to detail there. The plastron looks just fine, and having seen multiple ones of these, it looks like they were able to capture the details the same from unit to unit. It does look like they use digital printing up close with macro photography, so you will be seeing that more and more as time goes on. For the shoulder pads for Tokka here, they are painted wonderfully. We do have the wristbands and so forth that look good. The knee pads look good. The claws look good. The claws, the toes, the spikiness all looks good. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the shell, which the shell in and of itself, that's fine. There are no issues. The sculpt is good with a whole bunch of little ridges and folds. It doesn't look like a mirror image, so that's good that it has sort of that organic detail to it. Now, again, though there is some soft plastic that is used here for the spikes on Tokka's back, which, again, contributes to that paint flakage, I believe, these spikes are not soft, and you can hurt someone, so just be careful there. So, overall, in the looks department, Tokka is bringing it home for this set, so yeah, and you'll see in the articulation section as well that Tokka is awesome. All right, articulation, and generally speaking, Razah's articulation is good. Had a couple of issues with mine, which if you have these, oops, you can fix as well. But this guy, as you'll see, as a theme, is the weaker of the two, I feel. So what do we have? Well, the mouth opens and closes on a hinge. Now, something that I have seen, and we'll talk about the ball joints in the neck in a minute. I have seen some folks who, they go to open the mouth of their Razah, and when they go to close it, it just slowly opens back up, kind of like this. What I will say that I had to do is I had to use a lot of hot water to get this to loosen up. I was actually able to pop the bottom part of the mouth off, and then I was able to put it back together. It moved just fine. Now, in doing that, I noticed that the little fluff of hair back here was actually stuck under the neck sculpt here, preventing him from utilizing the full range of the ball joint there. So if that were to happen to you, just heat it up and you will be good to go to get the full range of ball joint movement out of Razah's neck. And as you can see, he's got some good movement there. That's pretty good. You can look down that far, up that far, twist and spin all the way around if you want. So he's good there. Good movement. For shoulders, we're going to have swivel hinge combos, though. Unfortunately, he does have the shoulder armor, which, as I showed earlier, is attached by these chains there. That's sort of a little anchor point for them, so they're not really going to be able to move to get out of the way, but they're not a super hindrance, so that's kind of a good thing. You can spin them around like so that's good. So the effective range of movement is not going to be bothered by them, so that's good. For the elbows, we do get double elbow hinges, as demonstrated here, and since they are on pegs, they peg into the bicep and the forearm. So though we do not get a bicep cut up here for a swivel, we do get essential bicep swivels, which is a good thing. And then the forearm swivel as I showed. Now, I will say it was difficult to get the hinge closer to the bicep at the elbow to move. So if that does happen, again, hot water, you'll be good to go. The hands, where they are going to articulate at the wrists, all of them are going to be swivel hinge combos because they're all going to peg in, and then they're going to have a little bit of a hinge there, so this way they move forward and back just like so. Razah is going to have one ab crunch ball joint, as you can see here, so he can twist and turn and spin. Just be careful that you're not going to be tugging and pulling these chains that are holding his grill armor in place. You don't want to break that, but we get some pretty good movement there. One thing to keep note of is that sometimes the chains will slip under the sculpt in the back, so you want to make sure that that doesn't break at all. Then we do have the hips. They are going to be the newer style ball-jointed hips that NECA is using, which is good. And then, you can kind of see what I'm talking about here for an issue that I had. Those are going to plug into the thighs on their own dedicated swivel. And then for Razah here, we're unfortunately only going to have a single hinge, but we get some good movement out of that, which is good. So for the knees, single hinge, and then they plug into the thigh on a swivel as well. So there we go. Ankles are going to be swivel hinges, so they hinge forward and back like so, and then they swivel where they plug into the feet, so we get ankle rockers, and we get some wide movement there, so those ankle rockers can definitely come in handy. So another issue that I had with Razah here, which you'd think that the jaw not moving, and this being blocked a little bit because it slipped under the sculpt were the two issues. No. You saw the paint chipping. What happened was his loincloth here on this hip actually got stuck underneath the little lip of the thigh here, and the paint glued, if you will, to the hip right along in there. Yeah, so I could not move the leg. Once I heated it up, the paint started flaking and I knew what was going on. So yeah, quality control definitely does need to be fixed up a little bit in that area. But generally speaking, for articulation, I mean, the only real downside is when he twists and turns his head, he can't really move his jaw that much. Like, okay, if we move there, can't open. Okay, he can close, but okay, can't open. Yeah. Aside from some quality control stuff, Razah's good. Thumbs up. Tokka's turn, and this, I think, would have to be the last figure that I could count on one hand, because I think we're at 5 now, that I did not have to do any sort of modifications to in any way, shape, or form in order to get him to move out the box. And I would say that for the design, the articulation is perfect. Huh? Let's talk about it. So the eyebrows are on little swivels. So we can get angry, we can get surprised, we can get happy, we can get other sort of surprised. One of them is going to be the people's eyebrow. So yeah, they are on swivels, which is very cool. And then when these were first displayed, NECA really pushed for another hidden facial feature, a point of articulation on this dude. And they were all like, hey, can you figure out what it is? Because it's going to be really cool. And we're all like, no, NECA, we can't figure it out. What is it? What's it going to be? B. Eek. The beak, it's on a hinge. Jaws on a hinge. Opens and closes. Real wide. I mean, fitting for a snapping turtle, so that's good. And I mean, that is just super expressive. I mean, he can go from really pissed off, looking like he's going to kill you, to being like really super happy. So that's really cool. The neck is probably the most expressive system of joints I've seen on a figure in quite some time. Think if you own any SH Monster Arts figures or you've seen those before in a similar way. So the head is going to plug into this portion of the neck on a ball joint, and then this is going to plug into the body on a ball joint. At least I think they're ball joints. Tokka is going to be able to look straight up, cock the neck off to the side, and then bring the head back around, twist and turn. I mean, you can get this turtle to look in any sort of direction you want. I can just sit here for effectively hours entertaining myself with just the neck articulation on Tokka alone. That by itself, if the rest of the articulation was terrible, which it's not, I would say it's just fine. So yeah, probably the most expressive figure NECA has made in a while, which is saying something. For the shoulders, we're going to have the swivel hinge combo that we're all used to, but unfortunately, because of the big bulky shell and some of the shoulder spikes, we are going to have some limited range of movement, but we are going to be able to T-pose just fine. The arms are sculpted in what I think are a rather weird way. Anatomy-wise, the biceps are sort of pointed inward towards the plastron here, instead of being, like, say, straight on. So sometimes the arms can look a little awkward when you're posing him, but personal preference. But that does fix a little bit when you move down, because just like Razah, we do have a double elbow hinge, which again, mine moved flawlessly out of the package. And since they have a double hinge system, they're going to plug into the bicep and into the forearm, just like that, kinda. So we do technically have a bicep swivel and a forearm swivel, so that's good. But here's the range of movement on those hinges, which, yeah, unfortunately, we did have some stuck paint there, but it did not crack at all, so there were no issues there. The wrists for all of the hands on Tokka, gonna be the swivel hinge combo we are all used to. Tokka is going to have a ball joint for an ab crunch, which is neat, but realistically speaking, you're not going to get too much use out of it, but hey, it is there. Like Rahzar, he is going to have the ball joint hip system that NECA is using now. Splits for that far, forward and back about that far, so some decent kicking range. We are going to have dedicated thigh swivels, so that's pretty good. For the legs, do be careful, because it's going to look neutral like this, but in reality, if you look back behind, you'll see that the knee hinge is a little off center, so we just got to twist the leg back into neutral pose, so this way you're not breaking anything. That's how it kind of looks from the front. And then you'll notice that we do have double hinges, which is cool. Fantastic range of movement there. Great. So yes, as you saw, we do have a swivel where this hinge plugs in. Then we have another swivel down here, which is great. And then for the ankles, we do have swivel hinge combos. So as you can see, we can get the feet to move forward and back. Moving them forward is a bit of a pain on this guy, but it's more just difficult and needing to put a little bit of force into doing it. And then we do have the swivels, as I said before, for that ankle rocker. And now that I think about it, I do not believe on Razah that I showed forward and back movement. So real quick on the legs, that's about as far forward and back as you're going to get. So articulation wise, I mean, NECA basically engineered these two as best as they could. I do think Razah could have been just a little bit better with the shoulder pads in specific, but realistically speaking, these two are just perfectly fine. Tokka is amazingly out of this world, though. When are you guys doing Gamera? All right, accessories, and what do we have? Well, we're going to have a few different options for hand parts for these two critters. We are going to get a pipe and a plank of wood. Razah is going to come with his shield. We are going to get some donuts, along with a donut that has the little anti-reverse mutagen thing in it. We're going to get a TGRI canister and a fire extinguisher. Okay, so while I have a minute here, I just want to talk about the hands specifically, because they kind of gave me a heart attack when I opened this set up. So Tokka is going to come with two sets of right hands extra out of the box. One of them is going to be a holding hand that has a very small opening, and the other one is going to have a larger opening. And then for the left hand parts, another one, left hand with a very small opening, and then another one with sort of a grasping, if you will, sort of a splayed hand, but not really. So these two can sort of be used as fists, if you will, but in the set, there's not a whole lot that Tokka can use these hands for to hold anything. I suppose he can hold Rahzar's shield, but if you wanted to do that, it's not canon, but hey, you know, you can do that. Now, for Rahzar here, for the left hands, we get another hand that is nearly identical to the hand that he gets out of the box. And then we get one hand, which is arguably for the shield. Okay, cool. Then we get two other right hand parts. They're both holding hands. One is slightly smaller than the other. I legitimately scoured the internet for 20 minutes making sure that I did not get a dud here because, I mean, to the untrained eye, you would think that these are identical. They are not. You can, if you look really close, you'll even see that the mold lines on this, the flash marks, they're different. The paint applications are even different as well. The plastic appears to be just a little bit brighter on this one. You can even see that the sculpt marks for the fur, if you were to take a real close look, I'm not really going to show that or focus in on it too much. They're different. So these are different. I don't know why. To be honest, because there's not really a whole lot in this set that they can hold aside from the respective weapons, shields, the TGRI canister, the donuts, whatnot, but nothing really that small. So I don't know, maybe they need to include instructions for which hand is supposed to go to what. But yeah, so just so this way you are aware, PSA, you're going to get a lot of hands that look very similar. Not an issue, just how it comes. All right. Let's get on to the rest of the accessories. Now that we're done talking about the hands, let's talk about the weapons. So it's advertised that Tokka comes with the pipe and Rahzar comes with the plank of wood. I must have watched Secret of the Ooze from when I started this review approximately 24 hours later at least 3 times. Admittedly, it may have been on more than double time during 2 of those watchings. The only thing that I can see for either of these weapons would be when Shredder is introduced to Tokka and Rahzar, where Rahzar gets the metal pipe and bonks Tokka in the head with it, and then when they're let loose to have fun time, when they topple over some of the telephone poles and you can see Tokka biting into them, which would make sense because there are some holes in that plank of wood. I don't otherwise see them using these as weapons, more specifically Tokka using the pipe as a weapon. So if there is someone who has information about this, please drop in the comments. I would really like to know more where that in specific came from. If there's anything like a deleted scene, if these happen to be a concept idea for the 3rd movie or the 1st movie, anything like that, please let me know. I don't want to be too ignorant here. Okay, now for the shield that Rahzar has, this is pretty cool. Admittedly, it did give me a bit of a heart attack because when you're looking at the shield, it does look like there are 2 little, I don't know, nubs where the bands would plug into, but that's not the case. It's just not like that in the packaging, so it's not broken, don't worry. These just go one band over the forearm of Rahzar, and the other one goes into one of the left-hand parts that you feel comfortable with, so this way Rahzar can hold on to that like he would a shield normally. And it actually works just fine and dandy. There are no issues there. It's easy to use, and honestly, some import companies can kind of learn from the easiness that is this shield for Rahzar. Now we do get the TGRI canister. This is going to be the same one that we've already seen before, so there's not a whole lot new here, but hey, we do get another canister, and both of our 2 little goofs here can absolutely hold the canister if you would like them to. Now, as we know in the movie, we do get these guys because they're exposed to the ooze, so we got to make them, which is the canister. Now, how do we revert them? The donuts. So the Simply Donut box actually comes in this set. When you get it, you open up the lid. I already did this. There's going to be some of that little thick cardstock that is going to be over the top. All you got to do is just push that down. When you get it, you'll know exactly what to do, and you'll complete the donut box. And you can actually just take the powdered donuts and put them inside. The printing for the Simply Donut box looks very good. There are no issues there. And like I said, the donuts actually fit in the box. Razah in the movie actually crushes one of the donuts, revealing the anti or reverse, I forget which word specifically, mutagen ice cube, I believe it was, because that's what they were talking about before Mikey said he got his great idea. And it looks just fine as well. It's green. Someone said it's pink. Looked pretty green to me, but still. Looks very good. Nice attention to detail. I'm glad NECA's behind this because pretty much they would only think of adding a detail like this. Now, the fire extinguisher, which was the catalyst to activate the small amount of the anti-mutagen that they both ate. Yes, we get one of these. Yeah, articulation can be a little bit awkward on the turtles to begin with, so getting them in sort of movie accurate poses, I know I'm not using the correct hands for this, but still, a little awkward to get them in the correct poses. Should have been a bigger hose, but hey, it works, and wish we would have gotten 2. That would have been better, but yeah. But hey, you know what? If you're creative, you can have one of these critters hold the fire extinguisher as well, because why? They're your figures, and you can have as much fun as you want, however you want. So overall for accessories, honestly, I think we get pretty much everything that we would need here for these two. I can't really think of much else more except for maybe getting more effective hand parts or getting instructions specifically for what those seemingly identical hands are for. That would be a big help. Otherwise, the only thing that I could think of would maybe be some scene-specific stuff, like when Tokka is grabbing Donnie to chuck him through the roof, or when Rahzar is grabbing Mikey to spin him around. Maybe some stuff like that, which you can fudge with some of the stuff that you get here, but I don't know, maybe just some stuff to help with that, maybe a support stand or anything like that. Just some ideas I'm throwing out there, because otherwise, I can't give any sort of other ideas because what we get is just fine. But of course, if you're looking for some other ideas like effect parts or stands, you know that I have videos available to help you out, to help you make the best choice for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on over to a size comparison, so this way you can see how these two big brutes size up with some other stuff you just might have generally in your collection and with some other Ninja Turtle stuff. So as you can see, yeah, these two guys are pretty dang big. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal, which I don't think is going to happen. Now, let me sort of back up and look at this. I obviously got my order in. I got it in a relatively timely fashion, and it seems like for a lot of folks, they're not getting their shipping confirmation. For whatever reason, there are some folks, they just woke up one day with a FedEx package at their doorstep because NECA sent these out without sending shipping confirmations or tracking numbers. So these are still rolling out to people, and some reviews are swaying folks away. Some are really happy with what they're getting. And I gotta be honest here. Yeah, I paid MSRP plus shipping, which was actually pretty reasonable. And after having these in hand, I legitimately would feel comfortable paying upwards of $100 to $120 for these. These are just, realistically speaking, that good. Now, also that being said, with how good these are and NECA's repeated history of saying, these are exclusives only for this point, we're not doing these again, and then them not following through with that, the ED from the RoboCop, the Toon Turtles, the original set of the movie Turtles, they can do repaints of these, they can take away their armor from their first introduction. Yeah, there are many ways that they can sort of skirt around that and make this set be the only way that that could be released. So maybe hold out, that will be good too. But regardless of what you're looking at, yeah, these are good. These are very, very good. I love Tokka. Now, with that being said, this review has gone on for way too long, longer than I'm comfortable with. I believe if I'm looking at the estimated time, we're over 20 minutes now, and I want to go ahead and end the review by just saying these are great figures with some quality control issues that hopefully NECA will be able to hammer this stuff out moving forward. If you do get these, check them carefully because some have had Tokkas with 2 left arms. Not good. Now, when you don't have that, these are I never say the word perfect, but these are very good. If you're interested in checking out more of what I would like to think on Tokka and Rahzar, particularly some pretty fun photos that I took, Tokka and Rahzar are the topic of my December 2020 Patreon gallery. There's going to be 5 or more pictures. Haven't decided when I'm going to stop taking pics of these guys that are going to be posted up on my Patreon. And here is one idea. Godzilla versus Gamera? Mario versus Bowser? Does the werewolf meet Nosferatu? Ash Williams versus werewolf? Who knows what's going to wait for you over on Patreon. So head on over, silver tier on up. You can catch that gallery along with everything else I've ever posted for our gallery and some other fun stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and take it on over to the outro, and I will catch you in the next video. And you're going to hear me say that again. Hopefully you'll stick around. Take care. Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.